Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Right and wrong.
Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Right and wrong.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Whoa.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Whoa.
Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Right and wrong.
Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Right and wrong.
Ooh, welcome to Right and Wrong. This is the show where we try to wake up the woke by talking common sense about the issues of the day. I'm your host, Brian Ruka, and with me, as always, over there is my man and yours, producer Juice. He likes to go by the name Truthbox out there on the World Wide Web because he just spits the truth all day, every day. My man Truthbox, what is going on today, brother?
Producer Juice. Nothing. Doing great. Another week, another ep. Let's keep it moving.
Love it. I love it. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, this past Sunday, my priest, he mentioned something in his homily that really stood out to me. Now, I can't remember it verbatim, but it basically was about how God is always with us and has always been with us, whether we have noticed him or not. Now, I thought that was interesting because I feel like I do notice God working through me nowadays. I have a stronger relationship with God now, so I'm much more aware of how he guides me. I notice it when knowing God, seeing God, and more importantly, understanding God's effects on my life. The part of the homily that stood out to me was thinking back on my life, wondering when and how God was there when I wasn't looking out for him, when I wasn't aware of him, when I wasn't focused on what he brings to my life. It was actually kind of strange because as he was talking, I got a vivid memory of a moment in my life when I was maybe 17, 18 years old that I haven't thought about in ages. As he was talking and I was thinking, I literally was writing this monologue in my head while in the pew. One of the things that I was debating was if I was even comfortable sharing this story because it's one that brings me great shame to talk about and to share with you guys. It's one of the terrible memories that is, kind of easy to push it deep down in my mind and lock it away in a box, hide it deep in the back of my mind like it's never happened. So instead of pushing it down and being afraid of sharing something vulnerable with you guys, I'm going to trust the Holy Spirit and tell you guys what I was thinking while hearing about God always being with us, even if we're not with God at that particular point in our lives. So in the early 2000s, during my senior year of high school, I got wrapped up in the prescription opioid problem that was running rampant in our country. I very foolishly tried taking an OxyContin, and from the first try, I fell hard into pills taking over my life. I didn't put a ton of thought into this realization at the time, but OxyContin was a synthesized form of heroin designed for patients in extreme pain. I, unfortunately, was using it recreationally. Most people that got hooked on this drug eventually switched their addiction from the pill form to the real thing because of the significant difference in price and availability. There was a moment when I was confronted with a choice. This choice is the moment that hit me like a ton of bricks in church on Sunday. I can distinctly remember sitting in the car with a friend of mine, and we were looking to get high. We didn't have a ton of money, and we couldn't find anyone that had anything to sell. That's when he told me he could get us some of the actual real thing. He could get us some heroin, and that we could just sniff it to avoid having to use a needle, and that would do the same thing for us. Now, hearing this presented to me as a legitimate option scared the shit out of me. I had him drop me off, and shortly after that, I told my parents what I had been up to, and I came clean with them, and it was a pretty rocky couple of months trying to figure out how to put my life back together. Now, I truly believe that God was with me and watching out for me in that moment. The friend I was with did indeed start doing heroin, and I'm pretty sure he got some for himself that night, and his life spiraled downhill from there. I'm not sure where he is now or how he's doing, but our lives went in opposite directions on that night. And I never really had an explanation as to why. It's clear to me now that God helped guide me and that God saved me that night. This has opened questions in my head as to why God helped me, but not him. And I don't know the answer to that. But what I do know is that I was given a great gift that night, and I wasn't able to recognize it or acknowledge it until 22 years later. At the very least, I think I owe it to God to push through the embarrassment of sharing this story with you and the embarrassment of the choices that I made and the actions that I took and give him his proper praise and glory. I think I should be thanking God every day that he saved my life and has blessed me with a beautiful wife and two amazing kids. They would not be in my life today if I had made the wrong choice that night. So that's why I'm sharing this story with you. And it's my hope that you hear this and that you can use this as a springboard to help you think back on a time that you were down and out when you were saved by God without even realizing it. And with that being said, I do believe it's time that we welcome in our good friend, Mr. Ric Flair, because it is showtime, baby. Woo!
Showtime!
Showtime juice. You ready to rock and roll, brother?
I guess, man, that was some pretty powerful stuff you just hit me with, but I'll press on.
I mean,
Good job.
it's true.
No,
Like I
no,
said,
dude, that was stellar.
not really enjoyable to talk about, not really fun to even acknowledge, but it just it felt so true. And that's 100% true. Like that's the feeling I had when I heard the homily. And I can't even explain why that memory is the memory that came back to me either. But that's God working, I think. Honestly, I really do. So I don't know.
Yeah, not to this isn't as deep as that, but you know, he does speak through those homilies. I was freshly back at church. We went together, and remember, there was the priest was saying some stuff that we were just talking about
Yeah.
like a couple hours before.
Like
And
on
then
the drive to church, I feel like we were
yeah,
talking about it.
and that was
Yeah.
just like just a yep, I'm here, you know.
Yep.
I hear you in the car. I'm with you.
That is true. Now, the next thing we can hopefully help for, it's a small thing. So I understand if he puts it on the back burner, but maybe he can help this guy figure out how to fix his lighting situation in this
When you
studio one of these days.
when you started to
Oh,
get deep, like the lights came down for dramatic effect. I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's not the producer doing that over here. Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious. All right, so jumping into things, it's been a busy, hectic week. Trump's obviously he's won the election, and he is assembling a cast of characters, to say the least. He is putting his cabinet together, and the picks just keep coming left and right, and it's awesome. Uh, it makes me think of this great scene that Juice can pull up for us here, and I picture Trump maybe putting the team together a little something like this. So, Juice, you want to give it to us?
Take a look at that.
What's this?
26 names. And the tough part will be getting it down to 20 before the opening ceremonies.
This is the final roster? You're kidding me, right? This is our first day here. We got a week of this. And what about the advisory staff? Aren't they supposed to have a say in this?
Technically, I guess,
You're missing some of the best players.
I'm not looking for the best players, Craig. I'm looking for the right ones.
Love that line, right?
Yeah, isn't the committee supposed to
Supposed to be helping?
we'll do what are those appointments? You know, and the
Oh, recess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna load them up with recess appointments.
Isn't the
Left and
committee,
right.
the advisory committee, supposed to? I guess so.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. Whatever. And then I love like the best line is not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right players. And I think that relates here for Trump because he's looking for the people that are gonna work with him, not work from the inside against him, like kind of what happened with some of his picks the first time around. This time he's got the experience, he has the know-how, and he's putting together his team to present his vision and to do what he promised he was going to do to the American people that voted for him. And it's awesome. So you could tell how good of a pick it is based off of the outrage that you hear from the media when each name is thrown out there. So far, these ones that, you know, in no particular order, that are all great are Marco Rubio for the Secretary of State. We have Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. And actually, she was just on their watch list, I think, too, which is even better. They put her on their watch list, and now she's going to be their boss.
Who watches the watch list?
Great one. Elise Stefanik is going to be the U.S. ambassador to the UN. We have John Ratcliffe, CIA director, Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator, and Mike Huckabee, U.S. ambassador to Israel. So those are some top-notch choices there. Very solid, but I kind of saved some of my favorite ones to tackle one at a time here, Juice, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
those are the warm-up.
I pulled clips and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, he's missing half of them. Okay.
Yeah. Those are the ones to just, you know, tickle the fancy a little bit. Now, this first duo that we have are Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to oversee the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, Juice. Now, this thing is going to be phenomenal. They're hired to come in and curb spending, see where we can save a few bucks and trim the fat a little bit. And I think that, you know, their interviews, their meetings with the staff members is going to go a little something like this, Juice.
Do it in a tech is you take the specifications from the customers and you bring them down to the software engineers.
Yes, that's right.
Well, then I just have to ask, why couldn't the customers just take them directly to the software people, huh?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because engineers are not good at dealing with customers.
So you physically take the specs from the customer?
Well, no, my secretary does that, or the fax.
So then you must physically bring them to the software people.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean, sometimes.
What would you say you do here?
Well, look, I already told you. I deal with the goddamn customers so the engineers don't have to. I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people?
I love it.
He's good with dealing with people. God damn it.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I love that. Like the delivery of what would you say you do? That's going to be Elon.
He's gonna come in with those suspend. Like I wouldn't doubt if he, you know.
Oh,
remember he brought the sink or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, he got rid of what, like 80% of the staff at Twitter when he bought it. He just came in and was like, boom, you're gone. So I love it. I think we're long overdue for something like that. And honestly, Juice, this right here is draining the swamp. This is what we envisioned. This is what people advocating for this pictured when they talked about draining the swamp.
Yeah, and it has to be a full-time gig like this, not something that the president, you know, he can get rid of, you know, other bigger things, right? But not what do you do here? What do you do here?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's going to be great. And I think the challenge, and hopefully they're up for it, will be to make sure that it just can't just be flip-flopping back and forth if the next Democrat comes in and can just hire all these people back or whatever.
Yeah, you got to prove that. Look at how much we saved, and this actually affected the
Absolutely.
deficit, or what? Like, have
Yeah.
something tangible to prove
Absolutely.
for it.
Yep. Or we're still able to provide X, Y, and Z with half the manpower. Like, it's going to be amazing. There's going to be so many federal departments that end up getting closed, disbanded, that people won't even realize we ever had them, So it's going to be great. That's an awesome spot for those two guys. Now, Juice, how about your boy Robert Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services, my man? Now,
I'm on
you
board
know
with
what
that.
department that was, right, Juice?
A one Richard Dick Levine.
Yes, sir. That is correct. You guessed it. That is correct, sir.
Dick Levine, you're fired.
You're gone. Now, I have a feeling Levine's probably going to step away, in advance of that you're fired call. But if he's still around, I really hope Trump films that and posts it for us, because that would be phenomenal. What an embarrassment this has been for that department. This person to be the face of a department, to be dressed as an admiral, in, of all things, health and human services. And this guy's
Which
advocating.
includes mental health.
Thank you. Advocating for, puberty blockers on minors, and trying to justify his own psychological delusions by forcing this on the entire, country. And I can't wait to see Levine gone.
Isn't it crazy? We're going to play this clip in a second, but it's crazy how, I know we're not out of the woods by any means, but this seems far away. These kind of clips, almost
I would think so.
With what we've been getting recently, the appointments or whatever. I know this is not in the rearview mirror, and we have to continue to wake up the woke or fight about this stuff. But I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm watching. I'm like, oh, I can't believe we used to do this stuff.
It's nuts.
And
it feels like an alternative universe.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You want to play it?
Yeah, let's play it.
Hello, I'm Admiral Rachel Levine. This Black History Month, I'm pleased to partner with OMH in advancing better health through better understanding for Black communities. Climate change is having a disproportionate effect on the physical and mental health of Black communities. Black Americans are more likely than white Americans to live in areas and housing that increase their susceptibility to climate-related health issues. And 65% of Black Americans report feeling anxious about climate change's impact. Through our Office of Climate Change and Health Equity and the Office of Environmental Justice, we're working with providers and community leaders to identify innovative approaches that empower communities to address the health consequences linked to climate change. Visit hhs.gov for more information and tune in next Thursday to hear from another HHS leader on how you can contribute to advancing better health for Black communities.
Come on, Levine.
Hi, Rachel here. Right here at the very beginning. Hold on.
Hello, I'm Admiral Rachel Levine.
Hello.
Oh, brutal. So that's bananas that has been taken serious. Put yourself in the shoes of another country. If that's presented to you, how do you take that serious? Honestly, how do you look at that? Oh, look, this guy's gonna go give a talk at a summit. Come on.
Well, yeah, you've seen the pictures of him, and then the one who got caught stealing all the women's luggage.
Yep.
With the mustache, but with the lipstick and the shaved head.
Yep.
The Department of Nuclear Waste. Right? What was that? Sam Benton or something?
Brenton.
Yeah.
Him and Levine got me removed from TikTok last week for posting the monologue that we did last week by mentioning them and naming them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
There's a little dead naming at the beginning of this one.
I know. Sorry, I'm not putting this on the TikTok. I might just delete that thing anyways. We'll see. Keep focusing on the X posts, right, Juice?
Yeah.
All right. So that reminds me, subscribe to the show, okay? If you guys don't mind, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Rumble, all that good stuff. Help us out. That'd be great. Okay. So we went from Levine to now RFK Jr. And I found this clip, Juice, of RFK. I thought it was kind of piggybacks on a little bit of like what I spoke about at the beginning in the monologue today. And it's kind of nice to hear someone in a public spot like him with a platform that he has talking, saying what he's about to say. So let's hear it.
Since 2005, I spend 30 minutes praying every day when I get out of bed. And my prayer is this. I ask God for 19 years to put me in a position where I could end the chronic disease epidemic and bring health back to our children. And in August, God sent me Donald Trump.
Wow.
Somebody was at the right rally.
That's great. I love that. I was thinking the same thing.
It's crazy. I got one more point on it, and then you can take away.
No, go ahead.
It's crazy how one great that prayer got that much of a standing ovation. Just the fact about I pray for 30 minutes, but it's also shows us what we're dealing with, right? That people get that amped up for someone praying when that would have been glossed over 40 years ago.
True.
I've been praying, and that would have just been part of a sentence, right? Not pause, standing ovation.
Yeah, like he couldn't continue speaking because they were cheering so much.
Because the other side, is so, not prayerful, maybe. Or whatever, right? That it's so divided now that even just saying, I pray 30 minutes a day would have been standard, right? At some point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, shout out to that guy.
Yeah.
Shout out
it was
to
awesome.
prayer.
Shout out to prayer. Absolutely. But that's great. And that goes to show you too, though, like this is something I don't know if you guys are guilty of this. I can tell you I am of, praying and getting frustrated at times, not seeing the fruits of the prayer fast enough in my own mind. But for him to say, I've been praying
19
for 19
years.
years to get an opportunity like this is like, holy shit. Like that's incredible. And it's pretty cool. And I'm glad he's in a position to actually make a difference now. And Trump's
glad he didn't stop at 18, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it goes to show just the entire vibe around this Trump campaign. Like the fact that he turned his head that half an inch, or whatever, millimeter. And that's, I'm sorry, man, that's divine intervention. It really is. That's God watching over him. And you can hear Kennedy talking about it too. God's putting him in a position to make a difference in our lives. And it's going to be awesome. So the left and the media, they hate this and they hate him because he's not just going to go along with the status quo. They're going to label him a kook and a this denier and a that denier and a, we obviously things aren't working the way they're set up right now. You could go down rabbit holes, but I saw a clip. I didn't feel like trying to work it into the episode, but Jim Carrey and Jenny McCarthy in the early 90s on the Larry King show talking about how we jumped from, I'm making up numbers here, but how we jumped from, say, 20 shots being needed before the age of 5 to like 85 shots like that, and like what's behind that? Who's getting rich off of that? Why is that stuff getting pushed on us? And that's the stuff that RFK Jr. is going to look into and question and push back on, which is great. The food, the stuff that's in our food. We have things.
Yeah, you know how much seed oils I eat? I need somebody. I can't control it myself, so somebody needs to help me.
We need
check what's going into this body.
Yeah. And we say, look, they say it all the time. You see a picture of the people at the beach in the 70s, 60s, and 70s versus now. And it's like they were ripping butts, drinking straight booze, like, and they were way healthier than we are now.
Yeah, and they lived a less sedentary lifestyle, but not to that effect that everybody has six and nobody's fat in the picture.
I know. I know. It's wild. And from what I understand, I'm a novice with this stuff. Like Ashley kind of looks into it a little bit more than me, and like half the things that are in these foods, they're not even like really for much of a benefit either. Like I always just assume like, oh, well, it must just be like loaded with preservatives, like just so, whatever, like you can mass produce it. And like, I don't even think all of it is really for that either, which is just stupid. Like, at least if there was some sort of a, greed aspect to it, I would understand. So I don't even know.
One that you see everywhere is like the Fanta, right? Here in the States, it's like, nuke, like bright orange, right?
Yeah.
And then you see it in the UK, it looks like orange juice. Tastes the same, but like here, we need to, like, I don't care what it looks like, just if it's the same taste. Like, so it was just for color, just for coloration.
It's crazy. Like, so he's gonna clean house with that type of stuff. His dad has that famous quote, right? Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream things that never were, and ask why not. Now, I think it's a little corny of a line, and I don't even know if I follow the logic 100% in what he's saying with it, but I feel like it relates a little here though, because it's like I envision that I'm gonna steal it and turn it into my own a little bit, and think that like RFK Jr. is coming in asking why, like seeing things the way they are. Why are we doing it like this? And then he's gonna look at it. Why not do it this way? Why not do it like that? Why not remove this? And I think it's in the same spirit of it. And I just kind of felt like pulling that quote. So
we're not big on like official stats, like, right? We throw things out there and hopefully you do your own research. But like, right, for the first time in X amount of years, like the US age of death is going in the wrong direction for whatever amount of years that is. It's like, because we eat trash. Trash is put into to the trash we're already eating. So like what do you have with, what's your beef with this guy trying to do something different? Because what we're doing is obviously not working.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? People are getting fatter than ever and dying earlier. So let's switch it up.
What do we have to lose at this point? Yeah. I kind of like that, Juice. Maybe we can get some official right and wrong merch that says that we're not really into stats. Do your own research, but we'll throw some stuff at you.
Whatever sticks, put it in the comment. We're doing that so you will help the algorithm by putting it in the comments.
Exactly. All right, cool. So next on our list, Juice, is our new border czar. This guy is right out of Fantastic Four, right? He's the Thing. Or the Commish Chickless. What's that other show?
He also looks like whatchamacallit, the purple guy from Thanos. He has like a square head like that.
Yep, absolutely.
He's just gonna do the snap the fingers.
Snapping all the illegals will just be out. They'll be gone. So this guy, Tom Homan, he's gonna be the border czar, and everybody's seeing clips of him circulating around. I saw the one where he's going at it with AOC, and he brings up that great line where she's talking about separating families. And he's like, yeah, well, as a police officer, when I pull over a father who's drinking and driving and I arrest him for a DUI and he's got a kid in the car with him, I'm separating him from that family, putting him in jail, aren't I? And she got the big glasses, doesn't know what to do. Because it's great. It's 100% true what he's saying there. And they're going to try. And the thing with the border situation that's going to go on here, And with this guy coming in the way he's gonna come in and just start mass deportations, the media is gonna be on high alert propaganda stage 15 to try to show you any sob story that they can find. They're gonna look for somebody and get a camera on them of a little kid hugging their dad as the dad's getting taken away by ICE or something. And that's
Somebody like in a white suit crying at a fence.
yeah, exactly.
Or like Obama's when he had the kids in cages and stuff.
He did. He created those cages, but they're gonna try to peddle it that way. So don't fall for that. And we'll be here to help you not fall for it. But yeah, that's kind of his thing with AOC. But the clip that I liked better, I thought this was just phenomenal. And this was when he was doing a sit down interview. Sorry, I didn't jot it down beforehand, but I think it was 60 minutes, right, Juice? But he's doing an interview, and let's watch it, and we'll be able to self-correct, I guess, in real time here if we see it.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
A+, right? And but like the point is like he says it like that to prove the point and be blunt, but it's not like you're gonna grab a whole family and deport them, but the family can choose, like the person who's here illegally can be like, hey, I gotta leave. I'm not supposed to be here. Let's all go.
And I think that's more of a soundbite, right? They're not gonna start with that. They're gonna start with who's the criminals, who didn't we vet, but now we've been able to vet, send those out. Who was on a terrorist watch list? Okay, let's get them next. And then you bet probably some families or some people will even, do a self deportation. Like I'm gonna get caught up, the more you see happening or whatever, right? So it's not gonna be day one you're deporting, family. It's
No, it's gonna be the criminals and stuff, the hardos first.
Yeah, and then and if we're saving all this money from the Doge, Team Doge, 88 billion, that seems like chump change.
Absolutely.
What did they say per person?
Yeah,
is that what they said?
No, she said 80 million per 1 million deportee. But it's a whole thing.
A number that they just brought up.
Oh, we have 80 gazillion trillion bazillion dollars is going to cost to deport 100,000 migrants. Is it worth it?
Because his answer was going to be the same thing. What do you?
Yeah,
and he was coming back.
Whatever.
You don't value security.
But it would have been nice. She was like, oh yeah, well it's going to cost 88 gazillion bazillion dollars to keep them all on welfare and government assistance. So that's an
88 gazillion in one. Just
yeah.
$1, Bob. $1.
Exactly. That's awesome. So I don't know, just great line. Good stuff there. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And I guess to move this along, and this will be the last one for me that really stood out that I like a lot, is the Pete Hegseth for the defense secretary position. And I just think this was A+. I'll admit, for a second there, when I first heard the name, it took me a minute. And as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh yeah, like I know him. Like he's great. Like heard a couple of awesome interviews from him when he was doing the tour for his book that he wrote. And his book is all about how to unwoke the military and the problem with the fighting force right now. And it's one that's on my list. If anybody's looking to get me something for Christmas, send it right along. Put it in the link. But I think it sounds like a great book, and he did great on the circuit when he was making the rounds. And obviously, if you tune into Fox and Friends over the weekend, you'll see him hosting the show too. And he's just, well-spoken, knows his stuff. And, I think he's definitely qualified for this position. And I love the fact that, much like a lot of these other choices, he's not like the obvious choice for this position. He's not someone who's already infected in this, swampy virus that's in there. He's an outsider who knows what he's talking about, who served in the military and can come in, and he's not gonna have to owe a favor to this guy, or he's not already, manipulated into buying into the nonsense that half the generals in there already believe. So I think, Juice, if
before we get to that, while we're on stocking stuffers or whatever, I'll take those that new 5-pack of Mayflowers cigars.
Yes,
the tin with the shorties.
I like it.
Those just dropped, so
nice.
I'll take that.
All
and
right.
a book to read while I smoke. Sure.
Perfect. I love it. All right, cool.
Fight the woke and have a smoke.
Oh, this kid, you're full of them now. So this is a clip of Pete, and this is what he was talking about on what is going to be needed to help rebuild the military from the inside. Talking about the people at the highest positions. So, Juice.
Correct it, but it would take a new Trump administration going after it really hard.
How would they correct it?
Well, first of all, you got to fire. You got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke shit, has got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. And that's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve. And there's lots of other ways in which you could identify who gets promoted and what, but there's an ethos change. I mean, there's a reason people don't want to serve, because they don't trust that their senior leaders are going to have their best interest in mind in combat. I know there were mistakes made on our tours all over the place, but I, at least for the most part, had a sense that my senior leaders were committed to the completion of the mission for the right reasons. And maybe there were strategic differences and all that other stuff, and it wasn't always perfect, but that trust is broken, and you have to reestablish that trust by putting in no-nonsense warfighters in those positions who aren't going to cater to the socially.
So true. And you know what else? That trust between the military industrial complex and the people is broken as well. In the hierarchy, the higher ups that run our military, the people like Mark Milley, who talk about white rage being a threat in our country, people like him, there's no trust anymore between the people in that. It's that swampy culture, echo chamber that all think the same. And Hegseth said it in the clip there about getting this DEI nonsense, this woke nonsense out of the academies, that you're training the next crop of officers and leadership people. And that you can expand that exact same thought and mindset to our own universities, colleges, and schools, because we're in this position now because we have a whole group of 20 to 40 somethings, 40 and older, of everybody pretty much goes to college nowadays, and they're getting this stuff infected with it. And it's hard to.
Your mom goes to college.
What?
Yeah, the Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, I'm like, what? But it's true, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's two words that I loved in there. One, I think you were missing there, was he said DEI woke shit. Right, that's what he called it.
Yeah.
And then secondly, that word is so powerful, and war is crazy, scary, don't like it, but war fighting. I never really even heard that word. They don't talk about that word. The Middle East and stuff. He said,
no,
you got war fighters. All you need to do is people. The only litmus test is, are you war fighting? I'm like, whoa, this guy's serious.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you want, that person to be serious about.
Yep.
War fighting. That's the role.
Yep.
Hopefully we don't have to fight any wars, but have a war fighter ready to roll if you get to that point.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what you need. And it just doesn't have time for the other stuff. And he shouldn't. And I even love like the guy who did Top Gun Maverick make those ads. You remember when we were kids? I
Yeah, the
used to
Marines
love,
ones with pulling out
yeah,
the
the
sword,
dude like on the cliff, like it looked like a Star Wars movie almost. The few, the proud, the Marines. Like
granted, like we needed a little extra boost. I know neither
yeah,
of
we
us.
probably
We have some
both of
friends
us
who
could
it
have
did.
used it.
You know, shout out to our veterans and our friends who did
Absolutely.
sign up. But yeah, it was almost getting us. Almost
Yeah.
almost got me.
Production value was there. I'll give them
Yeah.
that. All right, good stuff. So the left has been freaking out about this choice here, and again, like I said earlier, you can tell how good of an appointee it's going to be, how good of a pick it's going to be based on how much they freak out about him. And I feel like it's been nonstop for Hegseth, and um, they've been using this clip of him to try to prove that he's not the man for the job, that this should disqualify him. And that's been the left's point of view. And I think the right and anybody in conservative circles have been playing this same exact clip, being like, this is why this guy needs the position. This is why this guy's perfect for it. And without further ado, Juice, let's see this one.
Just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated. We've all served with women, and they're great. It just, our institutions don't have to incentivize that in places where not traditionally, over human history, men in those positions are more capable.
Now, key phrase there, combat roles. It's not saying women shouldn't serve in the military. Someone tried to twist his words and imply that he was saying that women shouldn't be fighter pilots, and he's come out and said he has no problem with that. Women should be able to fly the planes and be fighter pilots. No problem. He's talking about combat, like hand-to-hand combat on the ground, first people in, that type of stuff. And I agree with him on that. I think it's one of the more shameful things this country's done where they've debated. I think it got stalled, but do your own research, as Juice likes to say, right? But it was talked about recently about including women in a draft if we ever had to do a draft again. And that is shameful to me. A country that puts their women in the front lines in combat roles and asks them to protect their country, it's a shameful act. It really is. I'm sorry. And that's nothing against women. It's not. But in those combat roles, it should be men. It's the same thing with the transgender stuff that we're going to get to in this episode too. Men are men, women are women. We're different. Embrace the differences between us. That's why we're meant for each other. That's what's great about being humans. Sorry, Juice.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think it says a ton about a country. Like the fact that we're fighting over this is crazy. It should be an automatic yes. You're failing if you're sending your woman to war.
Come on.
Yeah.
They say it best, and I should have grabbed the clip from A League of Their Own.
And
no,
go
ahead.
But I'm saying, like, in every single war, like, when guys are off fighting the war, the country doesn't miss a beat. Women are picking the country up by, bootstrapping it on the home front, helping the war effort, doing everything they can, and making the country still tick when most of the people are in the war effort. They're not a part of it. They're just not on the front line. They're very much a huge part of the First World War, Second, etc.
Yep. Yep. Amen. Well said. 100%. And I think it's absolutely disgusting that, like, to go after this man and to attack him because of that stuff, because he has a vision and he's not afraid to speak about his vision and articulate it that way. The left is forced to do what they always do. And you guys, we've been saying it since this show started, Juice. Everybody wants to act like Trump's an anomaly. He's a Nazi, white supremacist, dictator, second coming of Hitler, and they act like he's a singular, yet this is the line of attack they use for anybody who's conservative, Republican, anything. And this woman here on MSNBC goes right to it about Pete Hegseth because she can't argue against what he actually
They
believes.
haven't learned on this, dude. They're going to keep doing this and keep losing.
Yep.
Losing. Here you go.
The Secretary of Defense nominee, Peter Hegseth, the Fox News commentator as well, because this is someone who, weekend host, important distinction. This is someone who, is known to be a white supremacist, known to be an extremist, whose platform, whose book is basically about his opposition to the advancement of black officers to the top brass. And
he's a white supremacist, Juice. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Has he got a couple of tattoos of Christ? He's got a "We the People" tattoo. It's insane. And that's what they always fall back on. They're going to continue to do it well beyond the Donald Trump years. So it's not a Trump thing. They don't hate him. They hate you. He just happens to be standing in the way. It's so true.
That's a great quote. Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that was the thing. And what are we in high school here? A bunch of mean girls on MSNBC. Oh, weekend host. Oh, don't forget weekend host. And they think they're so cool with that and clever. Like your network's going to be shut down in about a year because nobody watches MSNBC. Yet these guys want to tease him because he's the host of a weekend show. Like,
you did see that. I forget where it was though, but like, the Fox ratings were up in the all the others were plummeting, right?
Oh, yeah.
But even when you lose, you still, I don't know if that's how it's. We don't have the stat for you, but do you know what I mean? Like they usually like it's getting turned off. I don't know if it's because it's the same old sad story.
It has
repeating
to
the
be.
same.
They've been saying the same shit for 10, 12 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the boy who cried wolf. And it never happens. All they're talking about, he's gonna turn into a dictator. He's gonna do this. He's gonna weaponize the military. Oh, Russia. This, that, and the other thing. Oh, felon. None of it ever comes like true.
The person who cried wolf.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so to wrap this one up, and to tie a bow on this, we're about to go from Lloyd Austin, who is the model of courage and bravery, be all that you can be as defense secretary. The guy went missing for 48 hours and nobody knew he was gone or knew what happened to him. When he had a surgery he never told the White House about. they didn't know what to do. Now Pete Hegseth is going to be replacing this man, and we pulled this clip from Tucker's show back when he was on Fox News, and I think it just sums up the Lloyd Austin era perfectly.
Today, the Secretary of Defense appeared in public wearing this costume. That's Mr. Lloyd Austin, ladies and gentlemen, the man in charge of our weapons systems. What's he got on there? Is that a welder's mask? Is it a dental visor? Has Lloyd Austin been cleaning teeth this morning? Nope. Looks like Lloyd Austin is just terrified of COVID. Well, then why doesn't he lose weight? Quite a bit of weight, actually. That's a good question. That would be the rational response. So, of course, he has not even considered that. Lloyd Austin instead got the vaccine, but he is still so petrified of corona that he put a windshield over his face and demanded that all of his dutiful little minions do the same. An entire army of dental hygienists. Watch out, China. Move against Taiwan and we'll scrape the tartar off your molars. And yet, even after all of those comically elaborate precautions, Lloyd Austin still looks scared for his life. Notice how he bumps their hands instead of shaking them. How long before Lloyd Austin is wearing surgical gloves in the shower and zip-tying garbage bags around his feet? The United States military is being run by a neurotic cat lady. Our entire...
Oh, and there's the cat lady thing at the end, too. Oh, man.
He's a legend, huh?
He's unbelievable. I do miss that show being on at night. I know we could find him on the X, but it's not quite the same yet. getting there.
You saw he did like a Jeremy Boring move. He had beef with Zyn, the Zyn nicotine pouches.
Yeah, yeah.
Created his own. Shout out to
No, he
Alp.
didn't.
Yeah, Alp. ALP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just got the email. I used to frequent his Zyn or
Yeah.
two.
Okay. What, that thing from the 80s, like that creature that lived in the house with them?
No, that's Alf.
Just running bits in,
yeah,
dudes. I did that one on purpose.
Yeah, because I also spelt it ALP, and you still had to sneak the bit in. But yeah, shout out to Alf too.
Yeah, we got no facts, but we got bits, man. Stats, no stats, but we bring the bits. I love it. But I will look into that juice. How is the Zyn? You like that stuff?
Not anymore, but I like nicotine pouches. In general. Yeah.
All right.
Because it's like you don't spit. There's no tobacco in it. It's just like a little buzz of nicotine.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. Maybe they'll
Go to alp.com/ I don't know, for all your nicotine needs. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. There it is.
Yeah, go to .com for all your nicotine needs.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Okay, Juice. So that's that for the appointees. I don't want to get into there's two that I'm skeptical of, but we'll see. I don't want to just I'm a positive
Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz. I'm down on that.
Yeah, I'm not in on Oz because I feel like he choked away an opportunity to be a senator from Pennsylvania. So I'm a little skeptical there. And Gates, I'm cautiously optimistic. And Kristi Noem, we'll
I'm in
see.
on Gates, but yeah.
So, it's going to be an interesting couple of months here. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to shift into was this CNN panelist that just absolutely freaked out over the transgender nonsense that lost the Democrats the election. I honestly believe that this is a big reason why they lost, and it's people like this guy that are going to help them continue to lose. So, guy's name is Jay Michelson. He is a writer. He writes for Rolling Stone magazine. Whatever. I'll get into it a little bit more afterwards. So let's just play the clip first, Juice.
There who don't believe boys should play girls' sports.
They're not boys. I'm not going to listen to transphobia at this table. I am not going to listen to you call a trans girl a boy.
Are you going to allow me to finish my explanation?
When you use a word that's a slur, I'm going to interrupt. That's not how it is. They're not boys. They're not boys. They're not playing girls' softball. I'm not going to sit there and listen to that.
Let's reset for a second because, look, this is a really heated issue, right? And Sharmichael, I know you. I know that you understand that people have different views on this. I think out of respect for Jay, let's try to talk about this in a way that is respectful.
Okay, so let me rephrase this since I'm being targeted here.
I don't. Just to be clear, you are not being targeted.
I am, but it's okay.
I'm specifically saying that I know that you are not intending to be transphobic.
He should know that I'm not. But he wants to sit here and bloviate.
I'm saying you're using a phrase that you know.
So the way regular people interpret it,
that's not regular people. That's not regular people. There's no consensus that these are actually boys. This whole thing about trans girls is a canard. We're talking about a tiny, tiny sliver of the population.
That may be the
and we're
case,
using
but
that
my point in terms
to
of
take
its
away healthcare from thousands of people.
Hold on, just get to your point.
My point in terms of its effectiveness. Regular people with children look at these things and they say, you know what, this is a bit too far. I do not agree with this. I don't like this. I think Democrats are going way too much to the left on social issues. They're uncomfortable with it. A lot of people believe that. A lot of families believe that. You may disagree with that reality, but that's why Republicans kept running those ads over and over and over again, because they saw the metrics suggested that they were working.
In those ads over and over again and using rhetoric like you just used, saying this is boys playing girls sports. First of all, we're talking about 5 people in the entire country.
You would prefer?
We're talking about trans girls being allowed to play with the people who are in their gender. And if you don't believe, you don't have to listen to me. Listen to the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association.
The American Medical Association.
This is not about the
guys.
Right? This is about.
In Juice, this goes back to the RFK thing. and the Rachel Levine thing, right? The institutions this man's trying to prop up as credible and worthy of using their standards are all garbage. They're all BS. You can't believe any of that. Fake news, as our man would say.
Yeah, didn't they squash a story from one of those things recently for saying
yes, they did.
the cross-sex hormones don't help? They could.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they buried the
Talk
story.
about a canard. Why don't you talk about that canard, Mr. Michelson?
Exactly. Thank you very much.
He's a canard.
He is. He's a douche. Is what he is, because he's playing a role, and he can't win the argument. He can't have a legitimate argument. He can't even have a conversation about it. So he throws a hissy fit.
Not at this table. Not
exactly.
But the thing is, nobody believes those are trans girls playing whatever. See, when I try to talk about it, like, it's hard to say it. So he said boys playing girl sports. So it's not trans girls playing girl sports. You see these people get knocked down, mashed around, body slammed in the wrestling.
Yep.
How are you trying to say this shit still?
No, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Shut up,
and the thing is, the Jay Michelsons of the world need to be removed from the seat at the table. He lost his opportunity to be at that table and to be on that panel because he can't have a legitimate conversation adult to adult who maybe disagree about certain aspects of that.
And the other one was also a CNN, like he was a liberal, right? The black guy. I know they have other voices on these shows. There's usually one but he's like, what do you want me to say? Like,
exactly.
The trans girl playing in her own gender sport. Like, no, that's not what's happening.
No.
So, like, that guy isn't trying to be transphobic, but what else is he going to say?
That guy's going out of his way to be as level-headed and nice.
Not at my table.
Yeah.
You
the
canarding
table. What a tool. So, that clip I saw going around, I'm sure many of you saw the clip going around too. So I looked him up, and that's where I started going down the Jay Michelson rabbit hole. And I came across an article that he wrote after that interaction, and it was published in Rolling Stone magazine. I will still put the link in there. It paywalled me. I was able to look at it once, and I'm glad I started, grabbing pieces of it that I wanted to talk to you guys about. When I did, I was a little upset that when I tried to go back in the next day, then I couldn't look at the full article anymore.
I'd be more upset if you could. And if anybody in our audience is subscribed to it.
So before we get into the article, Jay Michelson, I have to point out, he is a gay Jewish rabbi who worked as a professional religious LGBTQ activist between the years 2004 and 2013. He's married to a man, and they have an adopted child together. Now, that information, I believe, is relevant because my very basic, psychoanalysis of this guy based on the clips I've seen, based on his Twitter feed, based on this article, is that this man needs to validate the trans identity because he feels like he needs to validate his own sexuality and his own life choices. So that's why he's so passionate about this, I believe. And I believe that's how the T even got included in the LGB or the whatever it is, LGQ. I can't even keep up with this, but that's how they worked their way into it. I think gay people.
I will not take transphobia at my cast.
No, sorry, Juice. Sorry, not at this table. So I think that's how they got pigeonholed in with all the other, with the gay movement, is because gay people feel like they've had to fight this fight for years, and they've been told that they were the outcasts of society or different. So it's like they're looking for a new victim to help. So his article, it's titled, "We need to talk more about trans people, not less." And the entire point of the article is that he's sick of people on the left blaming the trans issue and the trans debate for the reason that Trump won the presidency. He will not accept that as the answer, Juice. He won't. He doesn't think that's true. He thinks that the left didn't talk about it enough. If you can believe that.
I think it's the economy and the immigration stuff followed up by the social issues that really hurt them. But I don't think it's what won the election, but it definitely hurt them.
Dude, that whole
would have hurt them more. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing they were trying to talk about in the clip was that ad, the Kamala's for they them, Trump's for you. Like, remember that was playing all over the
Yeah,
NFL
the one
game.
with Charlemagne and the other one, like
transgender surgeries for
yeah.
idiots.
People loved that ad.
Yes.
And by that I mean hated the content. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
That was
okay. They're gonna play that nonstop.
factor.
People like definitely.
That's a no-brainer. So so he starts off. This is the first little bit in the article is where are we at here? Sorry. Says that's just picking pieces here, okay? So quote, that's exactly wrong. They and we need to talk more about real trans lives, real science, and real values, and less about disinformation and lies. End quote. It's in the first paragraph, Juice, that snippet. So he's explaining, like I kind of touched on already, that they need to talk more about this stuff. So he gives away the game in the very first paragraph to me in this thing. And he mentions real trans lives. There's nothing real about a trans life or a trans lifestyle at all. The whole thing's about lying and changing what's real about you. So it's not a real thing. You're completely changing what is real about you. He talks about real science. Now, Juice, you alluded to this already. Dr. Joanna Olson Kennedy, who recently admitted in a New York Times story that she hid information from a study that she did that showed that puberty blockers had no positive effect on transgender children because the study did not produce the results that they were expecting. Look that up.
Info.
Google her name, Joanna Olson Kennedy.
I'm saying him talking about missing, like, no, that's or disinfo or not giving the info.
Exactly.
Let people make their own decisions. Put the info.
Yep. The whole to sum that whole thing up was we'd be giving these people puberty blockers, and it's going to give positive results. Did the opposite. Did nothing. No difference between someone who got the blockers, didn't get the blockers. And they buried the information. They buried the study because it didn't prove what they wanted it to prove.
Yeah, and that's not what studies are supposed to be. You get a result and you publish the result. You don't just pick and choose the results you want.
Exactly. You can go in with an idea of where you think it's going to go.
Yeah, it's called a hypothesis.
Yes.
Like, right? Hey, we think this is going to prove this, and this is why we think so. But we have a blind study here. We got two different things. And hey, we were actually proved wrong, or there was no conclusion.
Exactly.
That's how you do science or whatever.
Yep.
Or used to, right?
Yeah. So crazy. And then the entire discussion and argument breaks down in my mind on the third thing that he mentioned there, the real values. Because this whole trans thing, Juice, it can be boiled down to just that. It's a value system. Do we want to live in a society that values truth and normality? Or do we want to be in a society that values sexual impulses and mental confusion? It's as simple as that. It's a value system. It really is. And that's why the left, they think that they're virtuous by doing this. They think they have the moral high ground on this, but they're Anakin Skywalker and we're sitting there as Obi-Wan on Mustafar. We have the high ground, Juice, when it comes to this. That's it. There's no debating that one. I'm sorry.
We're not going to knock you into a lava pit. We're willing to, let you come back and see the right side, right? Doesn't have to be. It was a very violent, that could be taken out of context.
That's
very
true.
Violent analogy.
That's true.
Not trying to hurt anybody, but and this is for entertainment purposes only.
All right. And he goes on to talk about how they shouldn't be afraid. They shouldn't be afraid to talk about these trans issues, Juice. He thinks he needs to advocate more, and he needs the left to talk more about transgenderism. And again, I just didn't think that was humanly possible for these people. They talk, it's every other day. There's a awareness day, pat yourself on the back day, trans this, that, or the other thing day. And that's just kind of what the left likes to do anyways. We're going to talk about this weird, crazy thing all the time, nonstop, throw these weird, crazy things right there in your face at parades and libraries and your kids' schools. But the moment you notice it, Juice, or you object to it, we'll act like you're the weird ones for noticing it. Or why do you even need to bother? It's only a 0.2% of the population, blah, 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 blah. There why. Guys like him, that's why. Like, sorry. Michelson writes about the difference between sex and gender, which is a tactic that the left loves to do. They love to try
the same thing.
They just like to try to muddy up the conversation. And he describes the difference, Juice, as sex is between your legs and gender is between your ears. It's a construct. And again, it's just to confuse everyone, to get you talking about something that's not the point. Now, the reason, again, I already alluded to it, the reason this man feels like he needs to defend transgenderism at all costs is because even after all these years, he still feels uncomfortable with his own sexual desires and attractions and needs those to be validated. Even after all of the awareness days that we've talked about, after all the months, after all the TV and movie representation that the LGBTQ plus YZ community gets, this man still doesn't feel accepted because deep down, he probably hasn't fully accepted himself.
And to add on to that, just quickly, he doesn't want to like that's his shtick too. Not to to go against your claim, but like this puts actual money in his pocket, right?
Absolutely.
The more he can write an article about this, the more he can write a book about it. He doesn't want to go, let's talk more about this because that's his money maker, right? And then everything you said too between the ears of
it's grifting, right? It's 100%. He's capitalizing on this. It's a great point. And he suffers ultimately, Juice, from a first world problem where he doesn't have to worry about much else in his life in order to survive. So he spends an inordinate amount of time thinking about and worrying about who he's attracted to. So to feel better about himself and to put money in his own pocket, he's adopted transgender people to join his grievance group here. Now, his whole thought process should fall apart because I'm sure 20 years ago, he's the same kind of person that would have been telling you that a gay person can't choose to be gay, that they were just born this way, right, Juice? That was the thing, born this way. Now, it's kind of tough to now say that the people born as women, born as men are somehow not born that way. They're somehow born in the wrong body and need to be fixed. Need to do something to fix it. Is he the type of guy that, yes. Now, what if we said, oh, you were born gay? You were born as a gay man? Nope. You know what? You were born wrong. We need to fix that. We need to, go to what do they call it? Conversion therapy camps, Juice? Oh, and become a different person because you're uncomfortable in your skin there. So we can fix that by giving you this medicine, this operation, this whole new identity. We'll make you a straight man. Come along. What do you think he would have said to that? You think he would have been on board with that? No.
I do not.
No, I don't think so. So the whole thing is just absurd and ridiculous. And the article was horrible. He even ends the article by saying something about like, we need to better close the gap so we can have these conversations. Like, I forget exactly what it was, something along those lines. And I'm sitting there like, did you watch the clip of yourself? You refused to have a conversation about it. Someone was trying to have a conversation about it and you wouldn't do it. So I don't get it, man. It's ridiculous. So you got anything else to add to Jay Michelson?
Not to that.
Okay. All right. Let's bring this thing home. Wrap the show up with our segment that we like to call the Come On Man segment of the day. And those of you who've been with us since the beginning, you guys know that this is when we find a clip of somebody doing something, saying something so absurd and so ridiculous that even though we're going to make fun of them for a couple of minutes here, there's not much else we can say to them except, oh, man. Exactly.
And this week's episode is brought to you by both Alf and Alp. So shout out to Tucker and the alien guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Remember he used to, speaking of Alf, he used to love eating cats. They're eating the cats.
Oh, he did, right? Yeah, good call.
So full circle here on
I
the show.
love it. Dude, that's what you guys come for, right? If you're in an
facts
hour
and
and 10
stats.
into this, you're in for the bits.
Yeah, facts and stats, my ass.
Oh, I love it. All right, Juice. So piggybacking off of that last story, we were able to find in another example of the media just, losing their mind, no credibility, just nonsense, talking like a jackass and proving that they still do not get why Trump just won the election 2 weeks ago. So I guess without further ado, this is MSNBC trying to explain the MAGA movement in a way or why they lost the election.
Particularly the media ecosystem it's not a good one, it's a negative one, it's a radicalization funnel. But what they have done in their online media ecosystem is build a radicalization engine, literally the way militant groups do around the world, that takes people from relatively low-level annoyances with the world. Why are eggs so expensive? Why is my kid learning this new thing in American history in school that I didn't learn? And then moves them through YouTube videos, through podcasts, moves them from that annoyance all the way slowly to a full-blown fascist politics. It's an elaborate multi-billion-dollar infrastructure, and there is nothing like it on the pro-democracy side. We don't have when a man is just lost and lonely and not yet radicalized, we don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to move that man in a feminist direction. By the way, we should educate men that it's actually really great to live with a strong woman who makes money. It's actually easier. Life is easier.
But I think
one, shout out to my strong woman who it is easier, brings in good money. Shout out to my wife. Another point. Yes, you do have that. It's called TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Like all of TikTok.
Department of Education.
Everything.
All the way through college.
And the little annoyance of trying to put food on your table. That little annoyance. That eggs went up triple or whatever. You're not in touch with anybody. That's the problem, right?
Exactly.
This little annoyance, and now you're a fascist. No, it doesn't go like that. People, and he called it the pro-democracy side as his side.
No,
there's so much in that I had before I forgot it all. I had to.
No, I love it.
View it, but
it's absurd.
We don't have anything like that on our side. Like the Rogan
entire
show,
side
whatever.
is built on that.
And not to mention, Rogan, you guys left Rogan. He was pretty center left.
He was on your side.
Yeah. You threw him to the wolves. Yeah.
I mean, that's just another example of I think when Doge gets put into place, Vivek's going to come in and be like, we don't need two Viveks here on opposite sides of the aisle. We'll just do one.
You're doing a Vivek bet on him, Bizarro Vivek. I thought about doing that, but I'm like, the right's racist. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's
hey, buddy, the job's already taken. We're going to need you. Yeah. Get the white hair. One, we're probably spending too much on the white hair dye, to be honest.
Yep. Way too much. So absolutely crazy. And it's just, they're just a parody of themselves, the left in general. You know what I mean? For that man to actually legitimately think we don't have the power structure behind us. We don't have the media influence, the movies, the TV shows, the
all of Hollywood,
literally everything. but because
all of
Joe
their talk,
Rogan
yeah.
has a podcast, Jordan Peterson has a few people listening to him. Like,
Yeah,
you
not
know,
like there's
well,
not a
come on,
ton
like,
of Peterson guys.
no, and I don't want to minimize it. Like, obviously, he does have a reach and stuff, but it's just like that's nothing compared to what the left
But he
has.
said small or whatever, small annoyances like switching American history in your
Yeah.
class and the
Yeah.
price of groceries. Small annoyances, dude. These are pretty big things
Pretty
to the
big.
average person. That's why you're tone
Absolutely.
deaf and you're lost, you know?
Yeah. And it goes back to what we just said with the Michelson thing, where it's like, oh, this is a small issue, the trans thing. It's not a small deal to start saying boys can compete with girls. I don't care if it's 1 out of 1 million or if it's 10 out of 1 million or if it's whatever percentage it is, it's too many.
Yeah, it's
And-
just truth and false, like reality and not.
Right
Like that's
and
a big
wrong.
deal to us. Yeah. There you go. Shit, yeah.
Exactly. But in my big thing when it comes to this stuff too, and I feel like we've all been guilty of it in a way at times. Once you agree to allow 10 transgender boys to play with women, you've lost the entire argument. Now that the number doesn't matter. It's about the principle of it and whether it's right or wrong, whether you're going to allow it or not. Same issues going on with the House of Representatives right now. Nancy Mace with that the bill they're trying to get. She's trying to get it put into law. No federal buildings, like females are not allowed to go use a male is not allowed to go use a female's bathroom because Delaware just elected the first ever transgender congressperson to the House of Representatives, and that issue has come up immediately. Which bathroom is this person going to try to use? It's one person out of however many, people are in the House. I'm not sure the number. We don't have the stats, Juice, but one is too many. It's one too many because you do it for one. All of a sudden, there's 5 more right behind them. And you open the floodgates. You lost your argument. You lost that moral high ground that you had. Stay consistent with it. Snuff it out right at the smallest spots that it could possibly be and put an end to it.
Nip it at the bud. Yep.
Absolutely. All right, Juice, you got anything else to add to this clown?
No. I mean, I came out spewing, but I don't. I think I got everything out there.
I feel like there's a little something else.
I'll put it in the comments.
All right, cool. Well, Bizarro Vivek, leftist Vivek, sorry, my friend. You and your entire organization network over there on MSNBC have earned yourselves one big, fat, classic.
Come on, man.
That is our program for the night. Thank you all for sticking with us. Thank you for anybody who subscribes to the show. Please give us a shout out. Tell a friend, tell a family member, share us around. Thanksgiving's coming up next week. Perfect opportunity to bring up politics.
Yeah, at that dinner table, you can bring it up.
Be awesome.
It's not going to be Jay Michelson's table, but you can bring that stuff up at your own turkey day
Exactly.
table.
It'll be awesome. Yep. It's a lot of fun. Do it. Have fun. And with that being said,
thanks for having us, man.
Thanks for
we had a
having us,
blast.
man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
great
Always
time.
have a blast. Thank you for having us.
Yes, great time. All right.
All right. See you later.
On to the next one.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
The Right and Wrong Show is produced by Juice. Executive producer, Juice. Audio mixer is Juice. Hair by Skull Shavers. Wardrobe and makeup by Ashley Ruka. Right and Wrong song created by Juice. The Right and Wrong Show is copyright 2022 from Brian Ruka.